So I was just out running errands, sitting in a coffee shop, reading some articles on medically assisted dying in Canada. Yep, seeing people's social media responses, seeing what Liberal cabinet ministers have been saying about the issue. And I said, Fury, you got to do your next video on this. I mean, I just felt so passionate about it. And I hopped in the car and I said, you know, I just got to record it right now. I'm just so passionate about this. It just can't wait. Crazy stories. One of our veterans, disabled veteran, she calls up Veterans Affairs Canada and says, you know, and I'm laughing. It's not funny. I'm laughing because it's in the realm of the absurd. It's just ridiculous. She calls up and she says, I'd like to get a new ramp installed. I say, okay, well, you know, the ramp will take some delays. So, you know, have you considered medically assisted dying? Like, what? It's a government employee speaking to one of our veterans. Like, this is madness. And I will tell you, back when Parliament realized that they had to cobble together some legislation to allow some form of assisted dying in Canada, I was, like many people, you know, I was supportive of the idea that, fine, we have adults of sound mind who are in these health positions where, you know, they're at late stage 4 cancer, they have awful ALS, and at the very end, they wish to, you know, preempt that by a couple weeks or what have you by making this very personal decision. Maybe I wouldn't make it myself, or maybe I wouldn't wish on loved ones, but, you know, who am I to judge in those scenarios? And a lot of people at the time, I wrote columns about this, whatever it was, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And people said, you know, we're embarking on a slippery slope. And I said, well, I don't think we are yet, but, you know, when we get there, I'll acknowledge it. And oh boy, we are not at a slippery slope right now. We are just speeding off the cliff. The things that are going on right now in this country. We used to talk about things in European countries as wild, but what's going on in Canada is just so wild. And here's the thing, to hear cabinet ministers like Justice Minister David Lametti, who's on a Toronto Star podcast, talking about this stuff, and now the think tank Cardis is calling on him to clarify and apologize because he was talking about assisted suicide in very cavalier ways. And it's like, what's going on? I don't think what I'm saying and what Canadians are feeling right now is a partisan issue at all. Things have gone off the rails, and I think people of most walks of life, with most political backgrounds, Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Green Party voters, whatever, they're looking at this and they're going, how did it get to this point where things are just so liberal, where you have those other stories about persons who are facing homelessness and issues of despair, and they're being told, yeah, sure, you know, this is an option, medically assisted suicide. What? This is very different than someone in great pain, irreversible pain towards the end of their life anyway, taking up this option. We've just suddenly opened the floodgates wildly. And I know people who are advocates for persons with disabilities themselves stepping forward saying, I'm worried about what this means for me. And you can't blame people for going, what does this mean? Now, there's concerns about the degree to which minors might be involved in the way these things can be expanded. And yeah, you gotta be concerned, because the stuff we're hearing is just so crazy and so unexpected. This issue is just off the rails, and it's more than a timeout that's needed. A reversal is absolutely needed. And I think it's a totally nonpartisan issue that, wow, pretty much everybody is gonna agree on.